Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're tuning in. It is January 25th, at least in my part of the world, and my name is Bob Wright, and I am here with the Transitioning Show, and I am connected here in Morocco, and I'm here, as always, with Carmelle Migliore.
Hello.
And Julien Wells is also on the line, but indisposed right now. He'll be back in about 10 minutes, so he's also here. So hello, Julien. I know you're listening. And welcome everybody in the chat room. Welcome everybody who's tuning in and everybody who's calling in by phone. We appreciate all of you. And although I can't see the chat room because I am literally, I told Carmelle, I'm online by the hair of my chin. If any of you remember what dial-up is like, we have these little internet sticks, these USB internet sticks, and that's how we get online. And they're about, almost dial-up speed. I think my dial-up was faster, actually. So if there's any, if I start dropping off or sounding like a robot, please in the chat room, because I can't always tell how I'm coming through. Let me know, and we'll see I don't know what I can do about it, but at least I'll know that maybe somebody else should continue on, so I'm not lost, losing the whole audience and nobody's listening to anything. But anyway, it has been an amazing week. It's been an amazing week. Lots of things going on energetically. How many of you are feeling these waves? And it's the only way that I can describe it. They come in waves, and we've been talking about it in the last couple shows, these heartgasm waves. Has anybody been feeling anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's all good. You.
Oh, a heartgasm is always good. You should have at least one a day.
Right. Yeah, the waves come and they take you by surprise sometimes for a few minutes. Then you kind of go, yeah, I recognize that. I know what that is. So working with it, learning to work with it, learning to stand up and keep on moving. Keep the doing in presence. This is good. I came down with some sort of a weirdo social thing. I don't like saying that. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to tell you I had a fever last night, right? But still, since I'm still focused in time and my body, I got over it in 24 hours, which was kind of good. But I have a feeling that it has something to do with all of these waves of energy that we're having and the cleansings that we're all going through. To streamline our self-awareness and get back into the I am presence. It's getting better. It's getting easier.
It is. I mean, we've been going through this for the last 3 years. So we're kind of used to it. We're old hats at it now. So when they come, you kind of, in the past you might have panicked, like, oh, what's going on with me? I need to go to see a doctor or something, but. Now we pretty much know. Yeah, it's those energetics kicking in. But one of the things I wanted to talk to today about, because it's come up in conversation several times. A lot of people are making some major changes as they're awakening and their consciousness is expanding. And as they're making, and it's incredible to see how fast people are transitioning now. I mean, what used to take years is being done in literally moments. But how do you tell your family? When your family's like, will you quit your job? And what are you doing? What? How? How? Because a lot of people, and especially when we have loved ones that are not as far along on the path, and we care about them, we love them, and quite often we still have to deal with them on a daily basis. How do you cope? How do you interact? How do you continue to navigate both worlds? Because it's becoming increasingly more difficult having one foot in one world and another foot in the other.
Yeah.
And it's almost as though that your people are kind of dividing. You know, it's getting very difficult to navigate both worlds. And I believe that's because energetically they're becoming so further and further apart. You know, the new paradigm energies are increasing and increasing and increasing, and that old paradigm is no longer being supported, so all the energy is just kind of falling away. And as that energetic gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, for those you know who have been way showers and light workers for a long time who've been straddling both worlds, I've been finding it quite difficult to do so.
Well, I have on occasion, and from time to time, I have a bit of a time with that, trying to, you know, get my juxtaposition between who I am and the time reality, you know, and I have just conceded, since the holidays, I have just conceded to just be who I am. Not, you know, if something comes up and there's an opportunity for me to share a little bit of information, a little bit, not to give them the whole chapter, just to give them one sentence and see if they're interested, you know, in learning, then it works. But it's been easier when when I find that I'm not all hysterical, you know, I'm not anxious about, you know, translating information for people or sharing information for people that don't want it because they're not ready to have it. But I also trust as I, you know, if they come up against you, you know, and they feel that, ruh-roh, you're doing weird things, you know, you just know that it's only a matter of time before it rubs off on them, and the next thing you know, they're sending and they're posting things that you've been trying to tell them and they've been getting mad at you about, you know. Seriously. And so, you know, I can only speak for myself with my close family and my close friends. The friends that I have in my life now understand where I'm at, and they know that I have the wherewithal to look into those things and to make, you know, practice my discernment and then try to share the information with them as I can. But I have to be very, very vigilant to stay away from any kind of fear language, no fear words, to just educate yourself. Educate yourself. The information is out there. Educate yourself. And and it's getting easier and easier for me to be a floaty person, you know, as in no J-O-B. Although I do make exchanges out there. There's no doubt about that. I make exchanges, but I do it on my terms. So I think that people are starting to relax when they look at me regarding that path. But I also am noticing the wide, wide world is waking up. Wakey, wakey.
I think what you said is a key, because in order to do it, you really can't explain everything to everyone.
No. That rabbit is like really big. It's deep, 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 you know, and it's been going on a long, long, long time, eons and eons of information that one could attempt to translate, but nobody has all the answers. And
a lot of it's untranslatable. Yeah. I mean, there are things that just literally have to be experienced, because, you know, a lot of the things that, you know, once you become awake and you're aware and you're feeling the energetics and you're feeling the tug of your heart, and your consciousness is leading you down a completely different path that's counterintuitive to what society says is appropriate or is profitable. You know, to a lot of people, you seem like you've lost your mind.
Oh yeah, let's hope.
Totally, yeah. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's not logical. It's not logical. It's not intuitive as far as society is concerned. It is something that, you know, you experience internally, and it's a knowing, you know, when you're on your path. And a lot of times that leads you in places and directions that you would never dreamed of. Like, I'm looking at, right now we've had several people join us here in Morocco. And
Uh-oh. Bob has disappeared. Bob, are you back? Hello? Uh-oh. We try to get him back. Don't you love that, right in mid-sentence?
am I back?
Yeah, you are now. Okay. You had a lot of people join you in Morocco?
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear? Hello? Can you hear?
Hello?
Can you hear me now? Bob is flipping in and out. Hello? All right. All righty then.
Am I back?
Hey, I'm joining you.
Okay, you are now. Hi, Julian.
Hi.
Yeah, you are now, Bob.
Yep.
Okay. What I was saying is a lot of people joined us here in the past week or so in Morocco, and almost to a person, everybody's like, I can't believe I'm here. A year ago, I would have never imagined doing or being in any other place than, where I was and what I was doing in the previous life, because it seems like you're in a completely different life. And it's surreal sometimes, even for us. I mean, and if it's surreal for us, imagine what it looks like to them. We have a hard time grasping, the transitions and the changes that we have internally made. Imagine what it looks like and what it feels like to those who are not as far down the path. So I found that the less you say, the better. That you don't have to explain everything, and that even the ones who are complaining and going through their own trials and tribulations, that it's not your job to save them from their own creation. You can only provide information, and what they do with it or how they take it is really up to them, because there's if they're not ready to receive, they won't. If they're not in that space, they won't. And the only thing that you can do is to hold the space for them, and understand, even though they may not understand it, and even though they may not consciously acknowledge it, it is happening to them. That's why they're freaking out. So they're getting it at some level. It just hasn't integrated into their conscious awareness yet.
Yes.
So you hold the space for them. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say integration is really the good word. It's the key word.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just hold the space for them, and be an example. Because they're going to notice quite quickly that you're not as bothered, you're not stressed, you're in a good mood. Did you see this thing on the news? Do you know what Obama's doing now? I have no idea what Obama's doing now. I really could care less. But people look at this and aren't you concerned? Aren't you? No, everything's fine.
Yeah, everything really is fine. It really is. Everything is perfect right now, all the way around.
Yes.
Yes, I have a long time friend who has been an alternative and energy healer a long time, and only recently is this person starting to, before it was just like that. She would just never look out there, never look out there, And I would say, well, don't you see the signs of things that are getting ready to have to move, Yeah, I don't look out there. And now I've seen a change. I've seen this. I've seen postings. I've seen the will to discuss some of the things that are not, not in balance, of the old paradigm. And this is just, after 30 years, and this is just at a point where I'm stepping out of it. I don't want to look anymore. It's not important for me to look. What's important for me to do is hold my presence right now and extend that for as many nows as I can. And that's your job, period, the chips will fall where they may, but everything's going to work out perfectly for everyone somehow. And everyone has incarnated into a position. They have something they're going to do to contribute. They have a learning curve and a learning path that belongs exclusively to them, and it's none of my damn business.
Well, that perspective is only, recently come upon myself and a lot of others. A complete surrender to the absolute plan, understanding that everything is perfect in every moment of now.
Right.
The universe is not and never has been or ever will be out of control.
Right.
It from a certain perspective, or from a very limited perspective, it may seem that way. But I assure you, it's not that way. And no matter how chaotic the world may seem right now, it is perfectly on schedule, exactly where it needs to be, exactly where it's supposed to be, and everything is unfolding brilliantly.
Yes, perfectly. Absolutely.
It's actually going surprisingly more comfortably than we could possibly imagine it to be.
Well, considering the shift that we're making,
considering, yes. We've had the other stories of what it could be like. I mean, gosh, I'm not interested in any kind of apocalypse. Are you?
Well, yeah, but that was a spooge campaign.
Well, it was still an option that some people were hoping we would choose.
Right.
Right?
Right. So they frightened the crap out of us.
Yeah.
And then
I'm kind of glad we didn't pick it.
Right. We just went, nah, go ahead and kill us. We don't care. Because we know there's no death. We really know. You're not going to frighten us with that paper tigers. That's a catchphrase that I've heard a couple of times in the recent months, and I really like that. And remember, when you're standing there with some bully, it's nothing but a paper tiger. It doesn't really mean anything to you and your presence right now, who you are right now, because you're only looking through the eyes of a projection. We have 2 callers on the line, Bob, and I just want to give the phone call for everybody, 646-716-4598.
Bring them.
Let me know what you want.
Bring them out.
Okay, I've got an area 707. I'm going to bring you up. Hello.
Hello there. Hello, Bob, Carmelle, and Julien.
Hello.
It's
Tallison.
Hi.
Tallison.
Hi. Hey, Bob, I wanted to say thanks. First of all, I got Mitch's Santa Barbara's phone call and was able to contact him, so we've connected, and thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So, Julien, I've been talking to you on Facebook messages a little bit, and I love your new show with Crystal, Revolution Ships.
Thank you. She can hear you saying that right here. She's next to me.
I'll try to call in tomorrow during your show. There's a lot of things I'd love to, questions and
sure, it'll be fun.
Experiences that I've had in regards to relationships, and it's all really good. I can't agree with your conversation that you guys are having today more than it's just amazing that this is all happening right now. I can relate so closely to what you were saying, Bob, about having a foot in 2 different worlds, and I've felt that way for years. This has been going on since like 06 for me, 07. And I definitely got to the point where I felt like I was a barge operator ferrying people back and forth from one world to the next, and it got so exhausting. And I had to give it up. I had to give it up and do exactly what you're saying is hold my own, be who I am, be authentic, be in integrity, and that's what works. That's what really works for me. And I agree with you saying that everything is perfect right now. It really is. It's amazing that the opportunity for this increasing vibration on the planet is happening at such a rapid rate. It's really, really happening fast. So I'm with you guys. I'm definitely feeling the waves that you were speaking of, and how it's been manifesting for me is kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody else is having anything similar, but I've been getting like I'll feel this energy wave, and I'll start getting like a bubble, like a pop, 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 pop in my ears. And it'll go from one side, it'll start on the right side, it'll pop, 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 pop. This really small, like little bubbles popping. Pop, 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 and then it'll shift to the other side. Pop, 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 pop.
I've gotten.
You have any of
know
that?
Exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's funny. I like the way he says that. Pop, 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 pop. I didn't know what to call it.
Well, when it first started happening, I was a little concerned, thinking, well, I haven't been swimming recently. I don't have any water in my ears, so what is it, And then I just relaxed with it. I was like, oh, I'm getting an upgrade. Just downloading some information here. Just, okay, go ahead. Retune the crystalline structures in my ears. Go ahead.
Yeah, the definition I've been given by the Pleiadians regarding upgrades is that they do affect the DNA, and a lot of the times the subtle parts of your body, like your hormonal system, is actually adjusting, and a lot of the different sort of glands in your brain start activating and firing a little bit different configurations, and they start sort of like changing, almost like your ability to work with your mental state, actually. It's the more common types of upgrades that people are feeling right now. And yes, there is sort of like this threshold where you'll have a one-time experience, and that will, can be very, very obvious to your five senses. A lot of the times they're not that way, and they're very subtle, and they happen when you're sleeping. But sometimes it's that transformational. And, you may not think anything has happened, like, oh, I'm still me and I still think the same way. But what's actually transpiring is deeper parts of yourself, like your subconscious, and what your body is doing is it's deprogramming and allowing in new energetic patterns into your body, which will begin to help you access a broader spectrum of sort of like energy light, and the physical body actually has phases, kind of like if you were to take a cup and hold it upside down and then like dunk it into the water, and they've got like that bubble of air underneath the cup. Well, the pressure eventually will lead to the air coming out, even under high pressure. So all you have to do is do a slight tilt of the cup before you start releasing a lot of pressure. And so that's sort of like that threshold experience with Ascension symptoms. Now, a lot of them come in the form of headaches, actually, because the transformation in the different sorts of areas of your brain that support different glandular production. Those are going through. They go through very rapid transformation. A lot of DNA.
Now I know.
Upgrades
now I know why.
Yeah, they're spontaneous. They're not set upon you by.
Hello, am I coming through?
Yeah, you are. They're not produced by aliens or anything like that. They're just part of your natural process. A lot of the times, your guides will massage it so that it's not so uncomfortable. So your guides / guardians, I'm now calling them. Some of them are more offer information as guides, and some of them actually are just there to offer a physical guardianship over a part of your physical existence. And they can smooth it out. And usually most DNA upgrades, considering the kinds of shifts we're going through, are done in a phase-by-phase. So they sort of do like a little bit of surgery, or you go through yourself a little bit of surgery, and then you heal for like a week. And then you go through another bout, and it can go over the process of a couple months, depending on the sorts of shifts that you're going through. And they can do all sorts of side effect reactions, but typically they're temporary, kind of like going through detox You know, once you've gone through the symptoms of detox, you're out of it, and then you're detoxified.
I'm kind of thinking that's what this fever thing was that I had yesterday. I feel, I feel like I blew off a whole layer of what I don't, you know. I feel so much better this evening. And I've been, you know, I always ask. I ask for my body and my presence to find perfect alignment every day. You know, I'm on board with that. And when I came down with this thing, I said earlier, Julie, and you weren't here, I was like, I'm kind of embarrassed to even admit that I went down. I went down like a rock, man, bam. Yeah. But then, you know, but I'm up and I'm looking in the mirror. I look in the mirror, I'm like, geez, my skin looks different. Everything looks different. So, you know, your body is allowed to make these changes, and there will be phases of discomfort. I always recommend drink distilled water.
Profusely.
Get distilled water. Don't drink any more of that weird stuff, because I really feel like it just inhibits all of the processes, because you don't know what's in there. I mean, it's spring water. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I know that this is truth. It's particularly truth for myself, because somebody gave me a distiller. You know.
Oh, cool.
Really? I mean,
that's awesome.
Yes, this distiller just came into my life, and I went, oh wow. There's a exclamation point at the end of the sentence for me. Make sure you drink that water, you know, because that's really all I need. You don't need a whole lot. You need to keep yourself clean, you know, to help the symptoms to be not so jerky or painful, you know. So whenever you have a headache, just drink a great big glass of distilled water and wait 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It'll go away.
Yeah, there's actually different ways. Go ahead.
Oops. Sorry. I actually learned of a new way to get rid of a headache. One of Jorge here from Norway, he was laying on the floor with a cup of water balanced on his third eye. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, you know, if you get a headache, you put the water, you know, on your forehead, and you imagine all of that whatever energy going into the cup, and within minutes the headache is gone, and you throw the water out.
Oh, I love that.
That's really cool, dude.
Throwing the baby out with the bath water. What
I was going to say is that there's actually a lot of ways at home to distill water through boiling and things like that. You know, just look it up. There's different ways to make distilled water. It's more of a process, obviously. You know, most of them are boiling-based formats, but you can create your own distilled water yourself, and there's lots of guides online. So don't assume you have to go get them, even though, you know, like a gallon is usually like $1 or something like that. Not that difficult to figure out. You just got to find a way to store them if you're going to get yourself a whole bunch of them. Typically around here we're doing around 6 gallons for 3 people, so something like that.
In one day?
6 gallons for like a week. You know, we're not drinking it like profusely, but in general, you know, $6 a week for a couple of people is not, you know, you're not breaking the budget here for something extremely beneficial.
You know, everybody. The conversation around distilled water is great. I think everybody should do what, you know, they feel is correct for them. I myself am fortunate enough to have viable spring water right here on the land that I live on. So we really feel justified to and, you know, honored, humbled by this spring water. It's so alive, and so I recommend spring water to anybody who's fortunate enough to be able to tap into it. But if not, then distilled water would be my second choice.
No, I think that I have to agree with you on that. A friend of mine recently gave me some information regarding spring water. True springs are Earth's way of ripening the water and letting it come to the surface for use. When we drill for it, that water's not ready yet. And I thought, well, that's an interesting concept. And you know, if you got to work so hard to get the water, it's probably not for you. You know, so finding a really nice, viable spring is an awesome gift.
Yeah, and if you're collecting it yourself and not buying the bottled version, because really, like who knows what it is.
Right.
If you're collecting it for yourself, that obviously is, you know, one of those ways that you realize you're able to tap into the abundance of what's being made available to you for you. So if you happen to have a spring that you can find, in fact, I know there's resources online that tell you exactly where all the natural springs are occurring. You don't have to be in the mountains. I mean, they're all over the place.
Oh, no. We've got one 2 towns over, and it's a public spring, and it's all been cemented, and they've got a little thing, a spigot, where it just flows and flows and flows.
Yeah, typically nobody's charging for it either. I mean, that would be kind of wrong.
No, there's no charge for it.
Yeah, you just bring jugs, and that's that.
You got to haul it, but it's there.
Yep.
There's a website online, Daniel Vitalis. I don't know if you know who he is, but he put it together, and you can just put in your zip code. This is the United States, but it'll tell you where the closest viable spring is to your location.
That's good news.
So
yeah.
So I wanted to say that, with all the talk about community and villages and how people are really gravitating towards that, I can so resonate with that myself. I've been called to that since like early 2000. I've been looking and wanting that, and I've had 2 different experiences that were experiences, learning processes. I won't go into detail, but I learned so much in those 2 different settings and experiences with people and choices. And right now, where I'm living is for about 4 years now, 160 acres of mountaintop land and off the grid, and it's the way to go. It's absolutely the way to go. Yeah. So the community part of it is coming. This past year, we've been experimenting with woofers. I don't know if you're familiar with woofers or not, but we've been having people come and stay and work on the land and experience the land, and it's been pretty pleasant. So that's where I'm at with all of that. And this whole community talk in Morocco, Bob, where you're at right now, I think it's great that people are being called there, and we'll see what happens. Very magical energy coming from Morocco, and I'm there energetically watching and observing. So you have my full love and support. Yes,
and for all.
Thank you.
Yes, and for all the that are doing this around, we energetically supporting yourself in the now present is automatically supporting the rebalancing, the realignment for the new reality. I think that's wonderful. Everybody has the same picture in their head. I mean, don't you notice that everybody's got the same picture in their head? you know.
Yep.
So this is cool. It's very good. We're not alone anymore. We're not the weirdos anymore.
Well, we're still weirdos, but we love it. We love that parts of ourselves.
No, I don't think so.
Absolutely.
I don't know. If you want to call it weirdo, that's fine. That's fine.
Some of my best friends are weirdos.
Are weirdos.
My favorite Muppet was Gonzo. And he's an alien.
Yep.
Go figure.
Yep.
So that's funny you mentioned that.
Makes perfect sense to me.
I taught my grandson, is 2.5, and the other day I went, oh, I know something you're going to like, and I put on the Mana for him.
Oh.
And he stared. So we were in the store, and he's sitting in the cart, and all of a sudden I hear him go, Mana.
Gosh, I must have played Phenomena for my kids over 100 times. If there was a way to tally it, it's over 100 times total. And this is by their asking me to put it on, not me just playing it, looping it and stuff. This is them like, play Phenomena, please. Okay, we'll do it.
He and his mother, they scat together. He was saying something to me one day, and I said to her, what is this thing that he's saying? And she goes, oh, he scats with me. So when I played the Phenomena, and in between, the Phenomena chorus, this guy scats, right? This little character, he scats, right? So I said, oh, you'll really like this. And he was so funny the way he just stared at it. It all went in. So So now we have some fun. Whenever you don't know what to say, you can just say, "Mana." We have another caller. Can I bring him on? Bring him.
Absolutely.
All right. It's 847. Thank you for being patient. And hello. Hello. Oh, no. They changed their mind. They hung up. Whoever it was. Okay. Continue. Where did Bob go? Is he still there?
He might be.
I dropped off for a second, but I am back, I think.
So
Bob, give us an update. Who's out there with you?
Yeah, what are all the excellent things that are happening? Tell us.
Okay, let's... Sherry's just walking in the door. Say hello.
Hey. We could just,
and,
of
hear. Course, Lisa's here.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
And
hello.
out on the balcony is Wayne. And sitting to my right is Jorge.
Hey.
And his little son Pascal.
Cool.
And behind me is Christian from Norway. And on the other side of the living room smoking the hookah is Brian and Julia and Whitney and Alexander and Iman, our landlady.
Sounds like you got a lot of actual space. Either that or you're all like sardines in that same room or something.
Actually, yes, there's quite a bit of space here.
Nice.
And we've got 3 apartments. three apartments now. Julia and Jorge are staying just below us, and Whitney and Sherry and Wayne, who got here day before yesterday, are staying right up the road.
Very
cool.
Good. So what's been happening? What's all the good stuff? Tell us.
What's all the good stuff? Well, actually, we've been just getting a lot of people settled in because so many people are arriving. We have more people arriving tonight. My nephew Darius and Red will be. Their plane arrives at midnight, so they'll be here like 2 a.m.
How far is the airport?
It's about an hour away.
Okay.
It's about an hour away. We've been meeting with various different groups in order to plan a huge event, and in the interim, we've been what's the word? We have been. I don't want to say ascending because it's not. We have been expanding in huge ways. In huge ways, and a lot of this new energy is coming with a lot of personal information, and this is one of the things that I think is going to be one of the major parts of the event. Everybody is going to get to see themselves for who they really are, and when you see how grand you really are, you'll never be the same. You'll never look at life the same. You'll never look at anything that you believed to be true the same anymore. You hear about people having near-death experiences, and they're instantly, transformed afterwards. Even though they don't stay in that same frame of consciousness, the experience itself changes everything about their outlook on life and their relationship with their themselves and the universe at large. That is happening almost every day here. I mean, literally, people are having. I'll say episodes. Of energetic clarity.
There you go. Yeah.
And within those periods, you make leaps and bounds in your understanding. And a lot of things that before seemed to be so relevant and so important become non-relevant at all.
Very insignificant.
Very
Irrelevant.
insignificant.
Yeah.
So,
not even worth talking about.
A lot of inspiration.
It's hard for we were talking. This is a continuation of what we were mentioning before about that 1 foot in one place and 1 foot in the other, and how do you deal with people? I mean, you don't even have the conversation. Now it's much more. It's much easier for us to know when the conversation can be had, and when it can't, and we're much more accepting of that because,
Well, I think for a lot of people, one of the hardest things to deal with is they feel guilty, or that they're because they want what they're experiencing for the people who they love and care for, their family members, their friends. And a lot of times, people feel like they're abandoning them because, the distance between those two worlds have become so grasping. A lot of times you can't relate. And it's not that you don't love these people anymore, or it's not that they don't love or care for you anymore. It's just that, a lot of times the vibration will lead you down completely separate paths. But almost always, somewhere down the line in the future, they come back together again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And both parties are completely changed. There's so much change happening right now, so much change. And it's not just what you see going on in the external world that seems so chaotic, but it's happening internally first. Nothing transpires externally that doesn't first transpire internally. So, there's a lot of integrating that needs to take place, and right now, for a lot of people, it would, on the surface, if you listen to the background, it would seem chaotic. There may be 5, 6, 7, 8 conversations going on all at the same time, but everybody is getting exactly what they need. People are gaining insights, and this is another question that's real. What are you guys doing?
Just like that.
How can I explain? Sherry's sitting next to me. She's just laughing. We've been meeting with a lot of different people. We've been meeting with Heather. We just had a meeting with one of the directors for Club Med here about renting the whole Club Med space, and he asked that magic question. So, what are you guys trying to do? Well, we're trying to usher in a whole new global paradigm, and we want to start it here. But after a couple hours of talking with him, he sent an email and said that he has a new family now. So it is. They're very excited. Everyone we talk to, they're just like, everybody is very supportive, and they know that this is the time for this to happen. So.
Don't worry about your loved ones. They're on board.
That I can.
Right? Did you pull off?
This is true.
Yeah.
Am I coming through?
Yeah, you are now. Yeah, it sounded like it was going to break up, but you did.
Hello?
You're good.
Okay. Still hanging on by my chinny chin chin. But yeah, I was mentioning before, a lot of times people, they feel like, you can't feel like you've abandoned them, and a lot of times they'll feel like they've been abandoned. You're spending all this time and and they're desperate to get you to interact into their drama. because they feel as though that they're being left behind in a way. But even for them, that experience that they're experiencing is a trigger. It's a trigger for them, and there is nothing that you can say that's going to equal their own experience. And you kind of got to be like when a child is first learning how to walk. You can't walk for that child. You just kind of follow behind it just in case. They may fall from one end to the other, and you're there to catch.
Right.
And that's what you do. You hold that space. And you love, and there's been a lot of that going on. A lot of people who are coming here have literally just completely ended their whole previous lives. They've given up their homes, they've given up their belongings, they've given up their jobs, because they just know that they can't do that. They can't live that life anymore. And that is, it's almost becoming the norm. It's, because right now the people who are awaking, they're moving through and just doing and being, authentic. For the first time in their lives, they're finding a space where they're not criticized or judged for being themselves, because it doesn't match the predefined norms, of the world. And like you said, Julien, we're dealing with a whole bunch of weirdos. and I got a house full of them.
Well, Bob, I have to comment. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just wanted to say I'm a big Qigong person based on Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine. All of these things that you're talking about right now, Bob, I have to applaud, because you're absolutely right. All of the things that people are going through, it comes down, and we've talked about this numerous times, it comes down to the choice of what are you choosing, fear or love?
Right.
If you're choosing fear, which a lot of people do because that's what's being sold out there, is what comes up for them of one of three things: fear of abandonment, fear of betrayal or self-betrayal, or rejection from themselves or another. And of course, all of that happens within each of us, and then it's reflected out back and projected back to us from the mirror. So
right.
that's what's going on. And all you can do, I used to, in compassionate communication, I'm a certified teacher in that, nonviolent communication. And we call it the fix-it jackal. And a lot of us have gone through that in our lives where we want to fix everybody. We see what's wrong, and let me fix you. Well, we can't do that. Can't do that. It's impossible until a person wakes up and gets to the point where they realize that they want to be in integrity, that they want to be honest, that what they really want is love. And when they realize that and they stop that fear pattern and they choose love, it all shifts. And I see that as what really is underlying of what's everybody going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when people ask me, what are you doing? What are you up to? And I tell them I'm having the time of my life. I'm enjoying life, really. And when I ask them what they're doing, and they're like, well, I'm suffering, and I ask, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Because, people don't realize that that's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing suffering. I'm being angry. Why? I mean, and does it feel good for you? Does it serve you to do that? Because nothing external has to make you suffer, unless it's happened internally first.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And this is you know, I've not that I've become impatient with people, but my realization, it doesn't serve them to cater to their illusions.
Well, Bob, can I share something? What I'm finding out in a lot of the sessions that I'm doing with people is that people are at that point where
Yeah, sure.
pulling the bowstring back, how far do you want to pull it? Because there's a point where you're not getting much more progress out of pulling it back into contrast much more. Like, you can pull hard and you're really only getting like inches now, rather than, you know, what you used to get for having a big negative experience. So a lot of people are at that point where the bowstring is pulled as far as it's going to go, and it's time to let go and let yourself truly soar into the literal opposite direction, because now you know precisely what puts you out of alignment, so the reciprocal opposite is exactly where you'll be in alignment. It's like you don't know what you love until sometimes you feel exactly what you don't love, but many people pay attention to all the different things they don't love. Well, guess the cool part is, once you fall back into love, realizing that you can reverse things, like you can reverse your entire alignment about the world in a matter of minutes, sometimes hours for people, and you will literally be soaring into your new passion, soaring into your new existence. And it will happen whether you trust it or not sometimes. It'll just be like nothing's stopping this process from going forward. You know, people say they feel like they're tumbling down a hill. It's going so fast they can't even stop it. It's like a runaway train. Well, that happens in both ways, right? It happens in the respect of falling down, you know, the rabbit hole of pain, and then exploring the explosion of finding out that has really sort of like tipped the scales fast. So many people do go through that space of pain, and their higher being leads them to that, just so that they can basically jump off the springboard harder. That's what I'm finding. Only thing I do is I don't say now it's time to jump off the springboard. I say, well, it's up to you when you want to jump off the springboard. You know, when do you feel is the point of you know, where you're done with things? Anyhow.
So true. so very true. I'm sorry, my mic was muted. And you know what? The more authentic you are, and the more honest and transparent you are with the people around you, the more it's going to draw them out to be the same. You know,
yeah.
Like I said, like I
true.
don't cater to people's illusions anymore. You know, and if they don't want to hear, and this is one of the things, if they don't want to hear the absolute truth, not that I'm going to be, you know, like I'm going to be harsh with them or anything. I always do it with love. But if they don't want to hear the absolute truth, then don't ask. It's best that you don't ask. And people know that when they ask me, they're going to get my honest opinion.
Yeah.
So there's like 5 different conversations
going on in the background
based on what's being heard.
Is everybody around able to hear the show?
Does anybody else want to add a comment? Yeah, the show. Yeah, it's.
Goodness, Bob. It seems like Bob here has like a 6 to 8 minute delay.
Right.
Something like that. We'll just have to keep that in our awareness. Yeah, sounds like they can hear the show. and that they're following along. What I wanted to actually pose to them, those over there, for either contemplation or if someone has a response right away. I'm hoping they can hear. Bob's line went a little dead here. But
mine did go dead.
So what I was going to pose to the gang over there is, do you feel hopeful for the future? Sounds simple, but there's a lot behind it.
What future? There's only now.
Let's just say we haven't erased the word future from our memories, but does everyone there feel that momentum is in their favor?
Well, I would have to say yeah.
Well, let them answer it. Don't give them the answer.
No, I'm answering myself. Sorry.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Caller, whenever you guys are ready, I'm just letting you know that.
Okay. Yeah, Bob's line is a little.
So, okay, Julien, then who are you proposing? Who are you proposing that question to?
I'm proposing that to who can hear me over there in Morocco.
Actually, we're dropping on and on.
Yep, just like that. We heard he's dropping on.
Yep, on and off.
We'll leave a message in the chat room here for Bob. In the Skype chat here, Carmelle, we'll just say you're in and out. Just hop on when you can.
And the caller went away again.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
just keeping an eye on the board.
So I guess I'll share where I'm coming from with regards to the future, quotation marks. Obviously, our point of power is in the moment. The future really has nothing on where we are right now in this place, this very moment. The closer we get to right now, the more that we're empowered to realize that anything is possible, right? Our past doesn't nearly hold what it used to. I think everyone is noticing this, how much of our past we've been given up, and how much expectations for the future we've been given up. Now, it's not that past and future are just gone, right? We still have things like memory, because without these things, we would not have a perception of momentum or time at all. That is going away. But what I wanted to talk about was a couple things that are coming up for this year. And at a very topical, basic level, we're going to constantly be letting go of old programs. And I feel this is a global phenomenon. This is not just, a couple New Age hippie groups or something like that. I mean, everybody is facing this in one way or another. Maybe they're just being introduced to alternative approaches to leading themselves into their lives. Maybe, they've heard it from one person, and now it's starting to feel like, there's no answers in the 3D world. Where do I find answers? And they'll find it along the lines of those mediums or forms of information that do share broader perspective. And in the broader perspective, we can see options that we didn't normally see. And what I'm saying is there's a lot of things that I've been getting as to the different ways that this is going to come forward. Not just from the Pleiadians, but like with the other extraterrestrial allied groups, and with groups like Agartha, and groups like the angelic realms, and like the group with the fairy realm. Actually, it's not the fairy realm. I don't even know what to call it, but it's the realm where the beings like unicorns, giants, leprechauns, they all live together in harmony, and they're wanting to make a resurgence of sharing this planet with us too. And all these have their own form of momentum. Now, there's no need to actually bring them up because, we've got a lot on our plate to consider already. But what I am saying is that they are going through a process. They're not like any more enlightened or anything than we are. They're going through their own journey. Just like imagine that the fairy world is tired of living without humans. We're tired of living without fairies. Okay? It's kind of like goes both ways. They're trying to bridge their reality with ours as well. And in order to bridge realities, essentially there comes a form of acceptance of exactly the validity in every moment, in every aspect, in every experience, in every observation. Once that's all gotten to a place where people are validating their experiences, well, then we won't freak out when we see a ship land in our backyard. We won't freak out when we see a leprechaun, walking through your backyard, things like this. So there's this aspect going forward in accepting the validity of all experiences and all observations, because what that does is that opens you up to not holding back experiences from yourself, you see. And by not holding back experiences from yourself and actually trusting that all is well at all times and what you experience is succinctly designed for you. It's not like, the government prepared it for you. It is your experience, and you get to have it. Then we literally get to open ourselves up to all these things that will say there's so much to life we haven't even thought of. There's many people that I've come across who are like, well, what are we all going to become, a bunch of hippies here? Are we looking at some kind of hippie world where everyone's going to have their hair grown out and dreaded? No, this is not where we're headed. We're headed into a world of exploration beyond what we previously allowed ourselves. You want to go to outer space? You're going to get to go to outer space. You want to learn how to levitate? You're going to learn how to levitate. You want to visit the inner realms of Agartha? You're going to go visit the inner realms of Agartha. You want to be able to teleport? You get to go teleport. You want to go visit a Pleiadian world? You're going to get to go do that. And it's going to happen one step at a time as you open yourself up. And as everyone opens themselves up. And this is happening automatically. So you don't even have to tell people to open themselves up. It's happening, okay? It's happening because the limitations are just as strong as the opportunities for exploration. That's why. And really, it's like, hey, you want to choose a cage? Or do you want to choose the Fey realm? Hey, I'm up for the Fey realm. That sounds like a cool idea, personally. And I'm privileged with being able to see them from time to time. Not recently, but this is mind-blowing stuff. I'm either living in some massive psychedelic dream compared to what I used to understand, or this stuff is real, and everybody has an opportunity to begin experiencing it. Okay, I did go to exercises that helped me develop my sixth sense. But you know what it was? It was just trusting it. Imagination, I feel like we need some master course in deprogramming what was done to the description of the word imagination. Because it's like absolutely the opposite of what a lot of people, like what even the dictionary says almost. It's literally daydreaming. We've been programmed to say, don't daydream, you're falling asleep in class. All these things have been put out there to get us to conform to a grounding in a world that is chosen. Much like, being raised by your parents, you sort of like become a little bit like your parents. But you know how it is. Sometimes the kind of child you get from your parents is the exact opposite of what the parents are like. They want to do everything their parents told them not to do. You know how that is. And that's what we're really looking at. We're really looking at we love grounding. We love having confidence for what day-to-day is going to be like, We like understanding that there's a structure to things. So, yeah, we're going to take it one step at a time. We're not going to start driving on the other side of the road just because we feel entitled to do whatever we want, okay? We're going to accept some of these grounding elements, and we're going to pick and choose them like a buffet. What am I exploring today? What am I exploring tomorrow? I'm not worried about tomorrow, but it'll probably spearhead off of what I'm doing today. So day to day, obviously, if you live day to day, you're facing a lot of major obstacles that plan out your day beyond day to day, like the 7-day week. Do we need to work with the days of the week anymore? We don't even have to work with that. Do we need to work with clocks anymore? No, we don't really need to work with clocks. Okay? Do we need to work with having a 9 to 5? Okay, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have figured out we don't need a 9 to 5 to survive, right? Do we need to even include borders in the countries, where one country ends, the other one starts? Well, you'll note that each community is individual. Each community, it should be basically a community isn't much more different than its walking distance, you see. The kind of people you want to be around should be all walking distance, so to speak. So within, how like cities have districts? Well, that's kind of what it's kind of like, except don't narrow it down and say, well, in this district, this is how we are. It's essentially everything is a collaboration. There's no true county limits. There's no true country limits. And the more that we can see that and basically walk this land like it once was before borders were instituted, we can basically be fundamentally free to explore whatever we wish. Sure, we may enjoy our community, but sometimes we might just want to feel welcome walking into a neighboring community, you see, and participating. Maybe there's, even between communities, they have their own forms of exchange, a bartering system or something. There's all these different ways to explore a particular form of groundedness, which is a faith in and what to expect day to day. Yet, I think many of us now are really spearheading ourselves into the direction of, I'd like a certain amount of random, wonderful experiences to show up. Not the kind where, I'm expecting the IRS to show up at my door. Not those kinds of random experiences. Just ones that we fundamentally enter into a reality of exploration and the freedom to say, you know what, some goblins came by my village today and they were all real pleasant and nice, but I'm just not up for hanging out with goblins today, just for the hell of it. I feel like just taking time in the natural mineral springs over here, that I discovered. And there'll also be people constructing things together. There'll be co-creation creations. Say, we want to come up with, new forms of homes, and people will work together on that. And at global levels, too. We could say in the United States we want to, end hunger. That's wonderful. Everybody can participate per their prerogative to feel in alignment to do that. So everyone who wants to participate, guess what? It'll be just the right number of people who want to participate. Okay?
We've added another caller, Julien. I've added 469 to the conversation.
Hey, 469.
Yeah, time.
Oh, hello, beautiful ones. This is DeerWomon from Hawaii.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
This is a brilliant conversation, and this last round, Julien, I could hardly keep up. I had to start writing some notes here. And hello to the gang in Morocco and all the beautiful ones in our community that are listening. I want to go back to, I wanted to respond to that question about hope. And my first sensation about that was the word hope. Hope has its derivative in fear, in my experience. And it's almost like, the word, because it is of the old paradigm, it falls short in receiving the response that, in asking, do we feel do we feel we still have hope? And my impulse was to go more in, if I'm experiencing and observing the barometer of our collective movement, I would probably use maybe the word allow. Do we feel more that there's more allowance happening in our collective right?
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
Right? Because hope, if you think about it, all my association to hope in the 3D reality has always been, it comes out of some kind of devastation, some kind of negative experience.
As things are not perfect right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so when, so I was following that thread, and then when you started to talk further, one of the things about programming is that the group that we are, we're collectively reprogramming ourselves, our inner program. And each one of us has already demonstrated that we didn't get to where we are now without having this spark of eternal essence from our birth. And so in those very early moments when we were able to recognize, hey, that's not true, and inside you, you know what the truth really is, we've already started cultivating our inner program. And therefore, now, where we all are, what's happening is that our collective inner program is starting to appear in our outer environment. And I think, that's why we are all in such celebration right now of finding each other. So, and I feel that our collective inner programming is absolutely getting stronger. And you can witness that by what you all mentioned earlier, the divide between the old paradigm and the new paradigm is getting so distinctly obvious. And I believe that's because, we're on a beautiful collective wave. I mean, our wave is awesome. So I just wanted to share those points for starters.
Well, thank you. I think you're right on. I really appreciate you clarifying the term hope and reflecting on allowing, because yes, allowing is a more universal way of describing what we're really looking at. What I'm discovering in communication with people at different levels of awakening or realization or discoveries and whatnot is that vocabulary itself, is limiting and whatnot. And I don't really know. Well, I try to do my best with using the words reflective of who I feel my audience is and who I expect my audience might be with the recordings as well. So hope is, fairly easy to play in dualism, right?
Right.
And so is allowing, except not in the context that we're using it. So yes, allowing is a really, really big part. And I think allowing does come to people who realize that there is a lot going on that they consciously don't feel they have control over, yet the knowing that there is something to allow that will result in a more fruitful or comfortable experience. I think a lot of people aren't facing that quite yet, this understanding of the law of attraction and allowing and the truth that exactly what is the best thing you could experience is going to happen anyways. So I guess that's why I'm still talking with people who are still, still wanting to bridge into using the word allowing. And, I definitely want to talk about allowing. A lot of my video blog entries that I'm hoping to talk more about are in the realm of talking about different ways we can talk about allowing and, and different sort of programs that tend to be in the way from us believing in the process that allowing is where our future is, because we have management. We have management that we don't know about. We have management in a space that many of us are not attentive to or aware of. And to trust that, most people only develop trust when they have experience, when they experience a good reason to trust. So they want, physical proof and examples of, that they create their own reality and that they're the center of their own universe. Because they spent so much time with an alternate way of understanding how the reality is put together. And so yeah, that's kind of my aim is really to talk more about where allowing has its fundamental value for the shift in our consciousness.
Yeah. Yes. There was something else too that I wanted to speak to, and I guess when you proposed that question to the gang, and as you said in Morocco, that's what made me think. Well, wait a minute now. If we're gonna get the gang to respond, I want them to really dig deep. I didn't want them to play with a simple word like hope. It was just how I was entertained by it. But I do understand what you're saying. But as we're having this conversation, I'm really sensing how, the way we're posing questions is really losing strength and clarification very quickly. The language is diminishing before it even comes through our lips. And yet, what you also said a little while ago, it may only be a few of us. And that's something that I think that's a good concept to put into our imaginations too, because I think once in an earlier show you had mentioned the Pleiades are saying that we're maybe grouping in tens. I'm not sure if that was you that shared that. And I'm starting to recognize that, perhaps we are, small group, if we're speaking relatively. But our imagination, it just seems inevitable that we will have to move into the telepathic, energetic exchange to actually allow who are we that are resonating with each other right now like this. And we know better than to, sure, we can guess that and we can be playful, but if we really enthuse collective imagination, that's going to be sensations of newness that, perhaps the guidance is like when we talk about the energetic trail. Just following the energetic trail is going to be probably a significant 3-day conversation.
Well, that's part of our actual development, right? That's why it feels like years to go through this process, because we're building our sensitivity to that, to recognizing that. How do you explain it? The sensation of our gut feeling giving us information, right? From what I've gathered about developing telepathy is you can't do it overnight. What you can do is begin the process overnight. You can say, and it's not going to even be deliberate. People are not going to go to a class and say, teach me French or teach me telepathy. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be a unified effort where we collectively deprogram a lot of things. And when we, it can happen in multiple different ways. There are tools for exercising telepathy more easily, like actual technology, okay? And there are different things that we can do that help telepathy build, such as work towards states of mind where our state of mind can receive and transmit a little better. But I think it's an inevitability that telepathy is going to develop on the planet. Personally, I have my own timeline sensation for that. I'll just say I expect it to be a very popular subject of exploration within 2 years. But what happened? what happens?
I've been witnessing the last year that it's been totally on the increase in my reality in the people that I'm dealing with. It's just happening.
Yeah.
So somebody says something and you can hear the truth behind it, or you can hear the denial behind it immediately.
Yeah.
And that's the beginnings of telepathy. It's not going to be, okay, one day I want to learn telepathy. It's just happening as part of the osmosis process of the consciousness realizing itself once again.
Yeah. Now, do I feel it's going to actually come up? It's going to come up. The reason why I say over the next 2 years, because there are those that already have it. But I'm talking about, the rest of the world within 2 years.
The bulk.
That's what I mean.
And in essence,
that's my feeling.
In essence, our telepathy is knowing our divine eternal essence.
Right. Right. So the question, ultimately, the only question is, do I know who I am? And if I really know who I am, and I'm not even talking in a physical self, I'm talking above and beyond. Once we really know and grasp that, do I know who I am? All the data that comes to you becomes much easier to discern immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
There are quantum leap points, I feel, yes.
Yeah, but, the bullshit-o-meter just gets boing,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I that's what I wanted to address, Bob, is what he was saying. I'm getting a little, I don't want to say I'm impatient with people, but you kind of snap right to, no, I'm not playing this. Because I know who I am. So how can I delicately tiptoe around this? So I don't annihilate the baby steps that this person is trying to take,
Yeah.
So,
well, it also what happens with our own develop of telepathy, which is highly integrated with the terminology empathy. We will be able to see what people are really trying to say more quickly. The conversation, even though we're not speaking in what you might consider telepathic sense, we're receiving more from other people, even if they aren't exercising telepathy. If that makes sense.
Oh, no, totally.
So our empathy is much greater, and so we can cut to the chase. It's already happening, is what I'm saying, right? We're already, you've probably had conversations with people where you're like, don't even have to say anything anymore. We both totally get each other. That's that. Enough said sort of thing, And you barely say anything.
Can I chime in for a minute?
Sure.
Absolutely,
Can I chime in for a minute? I just wanted to say that, telepathic communication is real for sure. It's been happening on and off for me for a while, and it only happens with certain people that are heart-centered. For me, this is how I would say it is. It's listening with the heart's ears. When you're able to stay in your heart space, you're able to communicate at that level. And that's been my experience. And I'm not an expert at it by any means, but it comes and goes. And it comes and goes with the energy of the people that I'm surrounded by. And it's being able to listen to, there's so many voices coming in. It's actually, for me, it's a filtering of like, okay, where's this coming from? Who says this? What information is coming in? And deciphering it. So and I think it hinges on being able, exactly what you said, Julien, about unlearning a lot of the things that we believe that are true, that aren't. And I studied holiodynamics with Dr. Vernon Wolf. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but Justin DeChamps put it in his one of his blog posts a while ago, and I was applauding him for doing that because Dr. Wolf discovered holiodynamics quite a long time ago, and it took a long time for people to pick up on it. But every experience that we have is stored in our microtubulas, in our physical cells. And so in order to actually change that, you have to realize it and have a conversation with it. And once you are able to establish a conversation with that memory and understand why you adopted it as truth and how it does or does not serve you any longer, then you can change it. You understand why you adopted that belief. You understand what it's protecting or what is it serving or how did it serve you. Then you can change it and move into the next paradigm. And this used to be a long process. But now it's happening so quickly, and it's just amazing how quickly it can happen when you're ready. So I mean, that's been my experience with it, and I couldn't agree more. It's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that that comes in with learning telepathy, it's really weird. Some time back, I actually got a download from the Akashic on how to teach telepathy to people who really want to go through it really quickly. Like basically exercises, and and we actually practiced them. I practiced them with several people, and we're beginning to get results. But what I found out after that point, after we had done some sessions with practicing the exercises, was that you really need to have someone who's a master. You really have to have someone who is a teacher if you want to do it fast. You need to have someone who is the living example to emulate. And so really, one of the big things that I've found that's incrementally, well, not even incrementally, dramatically increased my awareness of the importance of telepathy is my communication with the Pleiadian, because that's how they're speaking to me. And I actually can hear them speak, like when they use words, and I'm getting the telepathic explanation, sort of like an internal translator. Like I just know what they're trying to say, and so that's what'll happen. It'll be like one of the things that can help develop telepathy, I actually feel, is to try to follow what someone speaking in another language is trying to tell you. Like, begin to see if you can follow your intuition as to what they're really saying. That's one way to that's one way to begin building that level of trust and using. You just turn on the television to a channel that's someone speaking another language that you don't know. But I found out that this skill was developed for me when I developed learning French in Quebec, right? So I was raised in an English household, but there was all this French around me, from my cousins to school to people that I've been around to just, day-to-day life in that society, because it's majority French. I found that my empathy was a really big part of me understanding what they're really saying. And very rarely did I find myself, even if I didn't know the words, I'd miss a third of the words or the context or whatever. I didn't even know the context. In the end, I was like, this is just what I'm being hypersensitive to the conversation and really not overthinking it and really coming up with exactly what it takes. I think this happens sometimes when people travel and they're in a place where there's people not speaking the same language.
Sure.
Yeah, when you're empathetic, you're coming from your heart space. That's what you're doing. So it's a feeling. Absolutely. It's very powerful. So, and one of the coolest things that came as a result, I'm going to say, and they let me know this over and over again. I reflect on it a lot. I'm like, man, if only we all developed telepathy, we'd have a much more wonderful world, right? Because we couldn't lie to each other. We'd know right away if something was not right, that we could help clear the air on. So there's this thing. It's like, aren't you worried that see, what comes up a lot is people actually don't agree in the Pleiadian society that I visit. I see these arguments and disagreements, but they don't get real mad like we do. But what they do is they play out the puzzle. They play it through, and a lot of it comes down to determining and feeling what the other person's actually experiencing in the conversation. It's like being in the other person's shoes, which is a lot easier with telepathy. Now, sometimes they use words
but they use words for emphasis, kind of like when we use swear words or funny words for emphasis, you know, or cuss words. But when they're speaking, what they're really doing is sort of like you have like a fish bowl, and you take different food dyes and you drop different food dyes into the fish bowl, right? And you've got different colors swirling. You've got these three different points of view. Well, really what you're doing is you're swirling them all together and stirring it so that you have a common color. That's really what's occurring. Your empathy is actually an integration of the other person's perspective, and you can do this like, 20 people at the same time. Right now, the things that we observe is we have someone, the kind of ways that we pick things up is one person at a time. We don't talk over each other, but in telepathy, they're talking over each other all the time. And the conversations happen really fast. We're used to, we want to learn something from someone or whatever, or learn a concept. We have a teacher standing in front of the class, and that's the only person talking. But that's not actually how it works. It's like a two-way thing. It's like I'm over-talking you while you're talking. You're sharing what you're saying, and I'm receiving that, and I'm already giving my responses based on you interpreting my feelings based on what you're saying, and you're already adjusting course to make the conversation go even more specific.
Mm-hmm. Well, there, what you just shared, Julian, in order to adopt that aspect of being able to, like you suggested, talk over each other, we'd have to let go of our belief that it's impolite.
And
so that's the belief that's in the way, right there.
Well, I don't think
one
it's
of the things,
I do it all the time.
Go ahead, Carmelle.
No. I was just playing with you.
One of the things that I've found to be helpful is my animal communication experience. I studied with Carol Gurney years ago, and animals communicate in pictures. So when you want to communicate with an animal, you visualize the information you want to send them, and you send them that picture, and they get it. So I feel that it's very similar.
Yeah, that's true. It's concepts, and because a picture usually denotes more information than, say, a symbolic thing, because humans have their own interpretation of symbolism, right? When you look at the cross, you have a symbol that says something. Just like when we look at the characters of words, why should we expect a cat to understand that when we had to be taught what the symbol is going to mean? Okay, so yes, pictures in a way that they can interpret is very, very useful. One of the other things that, of course, is communication is body language. Body language is a very big part of communication for animals, and for those that speak in telepathy, because it's emphasis and facial expression. That's another level of communication. There's a lot of emphasis there that can be retained and picked up on, which is because your feelings are basically exaggerated through your facial expression and through your body language.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is that when you have a master of that kind of communication, then you can gain a lot more confidence when they say, "Did you get my message? This is what it was." And you're like, "Yeah, I actually did." Well, then you can begin trusting yourself, which is part of the process. It's actually trusting your imagination. Nearly all of everything that I do that's kind of weird and paranormal sort of like skills, they all came from just learning to trust it. I mean, it's apparent that they were there my whole life. I just need to trust it.
Yes.
And then it took on a whole nother level. It says, okay, now I'm not just trying to get your attention. My mind is not just trying to get my attention. Now we can get down to the nitty-gritty. Now we can get down to more succinct visualizations and more succinct experience and the subtleness difference between each thing. Because you can feel love. Someone says, "I love you," that's great, but maybe what they're really trying to say is, "I love the way, your hair is," or something. But all you're feeling is love. Well, the more that you pay attention and practice, and are sensitive to it, the more you can get the details. You can get more succinct communication.
I'm welcoming in a caller, 845, to the conversation.
Hey, how you all doing tonight? It's been a while since I've been in here. This is Bob in Newburgh, New York. I've been listening to your conversation, and that man that was speaking is actually telling the truth. It's definitely a growing process, and you got to trust yourself. I had a conversation with my spirituality teacher, and he informed me it's not good news for 5B Network, but it could be. He's saying that not many 3D people are even in the fourth dimension yet, and that the fifth dimension is probably years and decades or centuries away. Now, what is your feeling about that?
What I get the feeling is it's up to each one of us to decide how fast we want our outside world to catch up. It's up to each one of us. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm going to commit myself to waking everyone up here and shaking them silly and saying, hey, there's more to life. That's not what I mean. What I mean is simply, if you're in alignment with people, everybody waking up tomorrow, and you're like, that is a good thing, and you fundamentally believe it, and you get down to that, and that's where your heart really is to see people waking up, well, then that's what you're going to begin supporting. That's what you're going to start doing. And you're not going to do it, in such a way where, damn you for not following what I'm trying to say. It'll be like this element of patience, knowing that it's a process, right? Because it was a process for you. You didn't. No one here learned overnight. No one here went to the fourth dimension overnight. So we automatically respect the process of development. Now, this also comes into reflection for many people that are awake right now, is a lot of people do want to do something. I think people do want to see their outer reality catch up to what they feel is what their personal reality is going through. And it'll happen. That's exactly how it'll happen. Each one of us actually lives an independent reality. There's a million billion timelines and worlds where people are already telepathic here and already spacefaring and all this sort of thing. You can journey to that reality right now. It's up to you. You're the one that is adapting your perspective to something that you want to perceive. It already exists. It's you yourself, each of us individually, adapting our perspective to such a way where we realize the journey. We oftentimes are not ready for something that doesn't feel like a journey, right? We don't teleport because we're not used to the teleportation form of journey, okay? But there are many, and it's within our birthright to be able to teleport even. But you're like, whoa, how am I supposed to do that? Hey, you're allowed. It's in the framework of existence to have any ability that you can imagine, because if you can imagine it, that means it's true somewhere and relatively experienced. So it's when we talk about everyone not being at 4D yet, that's us not being at 4 full D yet. If we haven't figured it out for ourselves why other people can't be awake, well, then we haven't figured out for them why they can't be awake. Okay? So you'll find that if you choose to go into a realm where you try to have empathy for those that aren't awake and try to find a way to help them out, you're helping yourself, and you're going to learn at every moment along the way. You're not going to repeat anything. There's no repetition. Everything is growth. When you work with someone who's never heard about a 4D topic in their life, you're really continuing to chew on your own perception of that. And the chewing of your perception is still a decision space. Okay? What we get all caught up in, the tricky part here that we get lost in, is we assume we have no control over people around us, right? We assume that they're, floating on their own ocean, and we either hold out their hand or we don't, and woe is them, and too bad they can't join us here. We assume that that's the way that it works, when in fact it's the opposite. They're already here. We just need to adjust our perception to see them as already awakening, and then we'll be like, you know what? Sorry, man. I'm obtuse. I didn't realize you're going through so many expanding experiences right now. I've been caught up with my life for so long. I forgot to see that you're actually starting to think about telepathy is a good idea. You're actually expanding your mind, and that perception, giving yourself that permission to adjust your perception and not say things are factually the way they are. Things are as factual as your perception is allowing it. So the adjustment of your perception, you do what you say. You say, you know what? I think people are really waking up around here. I think they're waking up everywhere. I think, my neighbor is talking in ways that I've never seen him talk before. I can see this. I can imagine it. I can see it coming. And there you go. It's coming. It's happening. It's going. You want the whole world to change? It'll happen as soon as you're able to be comfortable perceiving it that way and bringing it forward. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, you know what? If that's true, let's do it. We'll have it tomorrow. We're not ready for that because we still have so many things that we agree to as a consensus reality. We say, I'm driving on the right side of the street. Just because I say, you know what? Because all I need to do is perceive that driving on the left side of the street is okay, it's going to happen. That's not going to happen. You'll have to go through the depths of everything that you've chosen to ever agree, and every time that you've driven on the right side of the road, you know how it is. You have to go to another country to realize what it's like driving on the left side of the road, and sometimes you still screw up. It's like a major rewiring. So until you go through that experience, you're not going to have that go through. You're not going to start driving on the left side of the road and expecting everyone else to join you. Okay? So just own the moment, own whatever you're processing right now, and accept that as your own process for everyone else too. You are a 100th monkey. What does that really mean? That means everyone plays catch-up to you. And the more that you see that their catch-up is actually not that far off from where you are, that you're not the only one out there, the faster that 100th monkey is going to be effective on your surroundings.
That's very good. You remember a man called Nikola Tesla, right?
Yes.
He was so far ahead of his time, but, I began to realize my own thinking that consciousness wouldn't let that stuff out because mankind wasn't ready for it. They probably would have bastardized it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But there was a man in the past, about 2,000 years ago, named Jesus Christ. He was the best of the best and the one, and he couldn't get everyone to agree. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, here you had the greatest of the greatest that ever walked the earth, the greatest salesman in the world. In fact, I think there was a book named that, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And yet, he couldn't get everybody to agree because consciousness wouldn't allow it. It wasn't time yet. And yet, he was right near 2,000 years before the ending of darkness rule. Darkness no longer rules.
Pretty close.
Darkness no longer rules. Darkness is almost out of here. It's got about 33 1/3 control. It's not called darkness anymore. It's called turquoise, and aqua was called light. So it's aqua now. It's got 66 2/3 control. Aqua's in charge. Everything going on is dissipating for the old dark crew, and we're seeing the remnants. And it's going to get better and better for each of us. My goal is to have $20 million in my account in a couple of years. And being of aqua, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. What's your financial goal?
My financial goal? I haven't really thought about that.
Well, I have. I need about $20 million to do what I got to do. I'm going to get that up and go get an RV, and I'm going to start going around before the catastrophes take place. I mean, there's a few places I've been to. I heard there's a grid site down there in Arkansas. I want to go down and see that little puppy, see what that thing is doing. I heard some great things are going on down in that area. So I got to do some more research.
You're not going to wait for the $20 million to do that, though. You can start earlier than that.
What's that?
You don't have to wait till you have $20 million to start doing that, though, right? I mean, you can get going a little earlier than once you've accrued $20 million, right?
Well, the $20 million is for a specific purpose.
Okay.
That's for another reason. But yeah, I'll be working on up. I mean, you know, share it while you got it, right? A lot of people,
sure,
they're hoarding everything. They're hoarding stuff. It's ridiculous. Get rid of it. You can't take it with you.
So this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to share a little new development here. We have a little bit of time left. I'm going to talk about it more extensively on my video blog. But a lot of revelations have come to me in the last week.
All right.
And one of the things I want to do, it's going to sound dramatic, and it's going to sound like maybe an infringement on free will, but you're going to have to hear me out. I think I'm going to go see how some of these people that have a heightened influence, have a lot of old world energy. I'm going to go see if these people couldn't use a broader perspective, and basically ask them if they feel there's more to life, and see if there's anything I can help them with. Because, yeah, everybody can use help in broadening their perspective, but many people believe they've got this world all figured out, and that's just the way it is. So what I'm talking about is literally forms of intervention for people who feel that they've got it all figured out and are still depressed about it. You know? Like, how do you really find happiness? I said, you know what? Here's an intervention. It's time for you to be happy. And I'm here to answer all the questions that I can with regards to what you feel it's going to take to get there. Because, yes, the ones who feel that things are really the way it is and that they've mastered it are the ones at the top of the money pyramid usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to say, you know what? These are the people I want to talk to. These are the people that I want to see some sense knocked into them. But it's not going to be anything that I can say, you're going to grow. I have to basically follow my guidance system to see who is just ready or who actually I'm being drawn to for any particular reason. I have a sensation that that's what I'm going to begin doing, is talking with individuals like that. Because, you know, there's someone with $20 million who's the most unhappy person there is, and they're going to wonder, what can I do better? And I'm going to say, I've got some ways to expand what you might be considering. I'm not even going to tell them what to do with the money or what to do with their life. It's going to be more along the lines of, you know, there's more to life than money. Sure, you've heard that, but let me talk to you a little bit about mine and a couple other people that I've known who have seen more than that. So I probably won't even do it by myself. I'll probably ask some of my friends to help me. Anyway.
We have another caller from area 724. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Yes, you're welcome. Hi, everyone. How are you all?
Well.
Hi.
Good.
Good. This is Mary. I'm in Pennsylvania. I was wondering if our friend in New York has much snow as we had.
Not really. We have about half a...
Oh, my. We just got plowed with about 10 inches.
No.
So it's a winter wonderland here, and I'm really enjoying the conversation. Had a couple interesting things that I was hoping to share. today I was on my way to a class that I attend for my place of employment. I'm a teacher, and the snowstorm came, and there was a friend who had offered to ride a group of us, and for the last couple of days, I just kept declining and ended up asking someone else, and as it turned out, that group in that vehicle had a bad time of the snowstorm and ended up not making it to the class, which was about half an hour's drive from where I live. So I knew then that I had trusted something that I felt, and that has happened to me all along the way, from a very young age. And I was also enjoying some videos about animal communicators recently, and remembered that about 10 years ago, I had a dog, a beautiful red and white dog, and I was standing at the kitchen sink washing some dishes and thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to do this and do that and finish these dishes and take Dolly for a walk. And I heard little toenails clicking across the kitchen floor, and she came in and turned her head sideways and looked at me just like she knew exactly what I was thinking. And that's when I realized animals she heard me, and she was like, oh, did you say walk? Yeah, I'm ready, It was just great. And so many things have happened. Today at this training, a term came up called scaffolding. It's something we do with children. We build on what we know about them and individualize their care and their education. And I think that term applies also to how we learn and how we begin the process of trusting ourselves and what we know and feel, and have the empathy to have it for other beings,
Yes.
So Julien, I love what you do. And I love your idea. I'm so behind you. So if you're looking for a group to go out and extend that invitation to begin to believe and think and live another way, I'm here.
All right.
I'll be happy to help, and I'll be sending you all the energy that you could possibly need, because I really love what you do and appreciate it.
Are we friends on Facebook?
The East Coast, the Opal East Coast interface is starting.
Yeah, that'll be so grand, so grand.
We're on the beginning steps of organizing a meetup, etc. And if you're really interested, you can give me a contact.
Oh, sure, yes. Seriously, I'm very, very interested. Yes, absolutely. I follow a lot of the shows and know that I'm the misfit that would fit.
And anyone else who's in the Northeast corridor, the Northeast region, who wants to participate with the doings going on here, just give me a ring or hit me up on Facebook at the Spiral Journey Radio Show. Page, and let me know you want to be included into the loop, and we will be so happy. We're having our first face-to-face meeting. Everybody's driving an hour and a half to meet so that we can and begin our first brainstorming party.
That's great.
And if anyone's interested, I know we have snow coming, tonight here in the Northeast, but tomorrow it's supposed to be sunny and stupid, 14 degrees.
Something insane like that. These temperatures are wicked, aren't they? Yes, but I'm very excited about that. That would be wonderful. And I do have a small group of friends, like-minded people who would be interested in that. So I'll be sure and check you out. Thank you all so much for doing the show for us.
Yeah, that's wonderful. The more, the merrier.
That's me. I'm Mary the Merrier. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Good night.
I'd like to say something. She definitely is connected and may not realize she is using her synchronicity. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but synchronicity is a touch to your consciousness where you're sending out and it's coming back to you without realize. So it's like having you're thinking of it for you. While you're putting out signals and listening to your radio, it's called synchronicity. Very, very spiritual.
So we're closing up on, thank you for that, and thank you for all the callers from all over the place. This was lovely. If anyone has any announcements, Julien, do you have announcements you would like to give? We know that the time has changed for the Monday and Tuesday shows on the 5D Media Network to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I just want to kind of remind people of that. Julien, do you have any announcements for yourself?
Well, if people haven't heard already, I've been updating my website, julienwells.com, with a couple new developments. I'm doing a YouTube channel now, and I've set up a crowdfunder to help me with that process. And you can look up my crowdfunding on GoFundMe.com. Just type in Julien Wells. And I encourage people to check out my YouTubes that I'm putting out nearly daily. I know it's called The Daily Transitioning, but it's nearly daily as I'm trying to get them out. And I've gotten a large amount of positive feedback on that. And I think if you like me sharing here, then you'll probably like what I'm sharing there. And of course, it's video, so it's the first time you'll get to see me, in video. And I'm happy to be able to bring that out. And I encourage, people commenting and sharing and everything. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and now I'm really excited to bring out deep conversations that I reflect on each day, generally, and it's kind of also like my place for updates too. So if you can't get enough of me here, you'll find me on YouTube. Just look me up, Julien Wells, The Daily Transitioning. Now, there's also another show that I'm on, which is Revolution Ships on Blog Talk Radio, and that's on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That would be, I guess, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's on the Expanding You network on Blog Talk Radio. And that's where I speak with Crystal Walker, and we talk about basically the frontier of relationships, because we feel between the two of us that relationships are a very big part of our world, and our co-creations involve other people very succinctly. So it's not just romantic relationships, although that's a very big part of it. And we do discuss my polyamorous relationship with her and my other partner, Medusa.
I also am welcoming everybody to Thursday night to the Spiral Journey, and that's on the 5D Media Network. And shortly, coming soon, I will be taking another program from 10 to midnight on the Just Us Radio Network. So I'll keep everybody posted on that, and we have a lot of fun and talk about the process of gathering ourselves back to our I Am presence on our Thursday night show. And, of course, there's lots of other wonderful programming on the 5D Media Network every night of the week. Yes.
And, well, I think we had a really great show today. I'm glad we got as much of Bob as we did. It's very exciting to hear what's going on over there, and I'm looking forward to the Collective Imagination show this week to hear what else they're bringing up and what they're exploring. So, but till next week, everybody enjoy your expanding experience and go through it joyfully, because, you only get to do this awakening once. So.
Thanks for joining us in the chat room and from wherever you have been, our armchair travelers. And we're going to welcome you all back again next time. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Yes, good night.
Thank you.
Thanks all the callers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy trails.